The entirety of my project is and will be based around the concept of visual storytelling. Since I have such a huge passion for stories and art, visual storytelling is a topic that I would love to further gain knowledge about. There are so many ways to visually tell tales. I've personally investigated and explored artists who specialise in book illustration, comics, and animation. Hi, that was just the start of my Unit 3 project, which is graphics A-level in England, UK. I'm sure you probably guessed that. My topic I chose is visual storytelling, which is something I really like. And I just thought I should share this with the internet because there's not a lot of A-level graphics work on the internet that people can use for reference. So this is my first folder that I started with. I just read what the first thing that hopefully the examiners read before they go into it. The next thing that they would have to look at. Well, I have some couple of quotes here, but maybe you'll be able to read them from there. But the next thing that I'd hope they'd look at was this, which is my artist research. I didn't want to put it in my folder because I'd end up with 3 whole folders, and that is rather too much, so I just printed it off in this little booklet with a contents page because that's what my teacher suggested me to do. It basically just has some analytical writing about, not too analytical, but analytical enough to try and understand my intentions and what I like about certain artists and people and why. Say, for example, here's a piece of writing that I did about Daneman, and I quoted him, "Show, don't tell, that's what they told me. My comics in a nutshell, everybody looks the same and almost nobody talks." I'm sure that's still the description for his Topastic page. And this is what I wrote. David Daneman is an artist from Vancouver, Canada. He makes the silent comic called The Daneman, which can be found at Topastic, Webtoons, and DeviantArt. He uses photography and a technique called rotoscoping to make the artwork for his comics. I especially like Daneman's work as he takes visual storytelling to the next level and uses little to no words in his comic, The Daneman. Even though his art looks simple, the process of making the Daneman comics is long and tedious. After the pictures are taken, they need to be cropped and positioned to suit the layout, then further edited in his style. Upon attending one of his live streams, I realised that his work is just like a big jigsaw puzzle put together. He also uses pictures from the internet to help him create an unlimited amount of different sceneries. Isn't that great? But this one's a bit better because it talks more about backgrounds and stuff. I always love the amount of detail and life in Studio Ghibli movie backgrounds. Then they were not all hand-painted, but those that were had a lot of time put into them. For the animated parts, which are usually characters and objects that they interact with, they are drawn with a quite consistent line weight throughout. So, with this artist research, I tried my best to comment on what I thought about the artist's style and how they worked and whether I liked it or not, and tried to attempt it myself, which can be seen in my first folder, starting with Andrew Rambolt, I think his name is. So he drew these characters here. So I tried to do my own stuff here and ended up with this. And that's just practically almost the same for every artist that I did. I even copied some of Miyazaki's sketches and drew some cats. These are just some primary photos that I took of some sceneries and myself. And I also did a study on face proportion, as you can see here. The only reason I covered some stuff up is because I don't want to show it on the internet. I also made an animation from it which can be found on my channel somewhere. I also did a study on body proportions, which is... after these proportion studies, I started doing my own stuff. So, here's just a scene from ink art that I drew. And there's also this. I'm attempting Memoria Caelestie style here. More paintings in the style of one of my artists, Daneman. More paintings, digital paintings that is, attempt at animation in a lot of the frames. I also did some stuff in David style, which is here. It does have me in it, but I look more like a cartoon, so I didn't really take that out. It's nice to have this, but since I don't believe that everyone will have contact with the artist there, the audio is really bad. I was just saying how I managed to message David, and he gave me a bit of advice on how to edit my comic. I just said that would be nice to have to add to your work because it just gives a nice edge. Like, more better, should I say? It tells the story better, basically. And then I started going into my own stuff. I wanted to make a promotional comic that promoted my webcomic. I'll probably make more sense of it later on, but when you're doing Unit 3, it's important to eventually get to a sturdy brief so the examiners know what you're aiming for and where you're going to. And it's okay not to have a real brief at the start like I did, but by about this point you want to be there after you've done the artist research, done some experiments. So that's what I came to. So I just wrote about the story, development, primary sources, existing products, influences, and secondary sources, just very briefly. Hopefully you can read that. And then I wrote about some existing products and just things that they require to be themselves, and what I wanted to experiment with comics. I also got this, which is kind of a promotional product. But there's an advert on every second page, I think, so that's how they made the money for their comics. I don't want to make money from it, it's just something to promote. I started some logo development and ended up with this. There's just some things that I wrote. I don't know if you can read it. Then, because I was doing comic, I drew loads of thumbnails, which has so many spoilers in. You won't be able to see them anyway, because they're really messily drawn. And then I included development of the actual artwork. So it started with this. If anyone has seen the original version of Yellow Feathers, that's what it looked like. There was a version before, but I did that ages ago. And this was one of the pages with fire. That fire was really hard to draw, and it suddenly turned into this. But finally I got to, trying to turn the page, this stage, which is quite okay. This page I really didn't really like, and I still don't really like it that much now, because the character dude doesn't look so nice, and I kind of printed out the wrong version of this page, so I had to cover her face myself. And I was just looking at sound effects for the comic pages, which I ended up, so it started with this stuff here, and changed to this and these, here. And I really like the last ones. I just wrote about how it changed and why it's important to have effects, stuff like that. Yep, this is the last things in my folder. I experimented with colour and line rendering techniques, which hopefully you can see clearly now. And also there's some more pictures. So that's all in my first folder. And on the second folder we get even more into my final piece, and the first thing I started with was logos. Excuse me, well, that was a hiccup. So I found some logos on the internet. This is one of the artists that I like logos, and I started with these sketches, and I really liked the first one and the other ones, but I wanted something simpler, so I ended up going down these routes. So I know with lots of people doing graphics, they make logos and they look kind of complicated, but most companies make simple logos. I don't think I wrote about this, and I should. I've got space, so I'm gonna add something a bit more. A lot of people make really complicated logos, and I've kind of grown up being told that when you make a logo, it has to be simple, rememberable, catchy, things like that. So that's why I went for more simplest style. Then I was drawing some comic designs. Here are the people that you never saw the faces of. It's not that big of a deal, so I didn't really colour it because there's no real details. And this person you definitely cannot see. Here's some more character designs and some secondary images from Google to use as reference for when I'm drawing. I also got some more primary images because I didn't have a lot at all, and tried to draw a fire dragon thing and some wings. Then I got into more character design and drew this creature that I had to cover up, and this creature. So this is one of the creatures that you see in one of the last pages of my comic. And here, finally, final pages and cover development. Here's just a brief introduction of, the pages that I did, my final piece, colours, things like that. So these are just some pages printed out in large. Here's the creature that I designed. My teacher also said recently that before we print our final piece in the actual format of the final piece, we should try and print out the artwork, I think. The artwork or graphics work just on an A3 page, put it in the folder to present it first before you present it in the final piece stage. So say for example me, since I was making a comic, I just printed out the comic pages instead of, just including the book at the end. So here was me looking at secondary images of covers and trying out drawing. So here is the first cover I did, which you can find it somewhere on Tabastic because I know the lighting is not that great, and the process of my second covers. Also, when you're doing your graphics work, it's really good to include lots of process things. So some of them I did by just taking screenshots and writing about what I was doing, and also giving a little introduction or description or analytical writing or whatever to the actual piece before presenting it. So if people wanted to know, if the examiner wanted to know more about it, they just have to read that instead of just putting pieces in. They also want to know why I did that piece. This is the version of the final page that I did. I drew some textures, so here's paint one, and this is a charcoal hatching gradient kind of thing. That's just continuing on from the rendering page that I did, and then finally some process stuff. So I was just saying why I did it, like why I added some textures, because of this piece that I was influenced by one of my artists, Daneman. And this is when the characters for the cover, and then I added some more details. Whoops. And this is the final cover design here. I also included my logo, that's some previous work, and my title, and some characters from the comic. Then I started looking at bookbinding techniques because I didn't want to print my final piece professionally, as I'd have to pay a lot. I ended up making this book, which is saddle stitched, I think. So it's got the stitching down the back and in the middle as well. And this book is perfect binded, so I just used some cardboard from a package I got in the post, and this is just watercolour paper. And this here, which is just a very simple thing that I did, it's just white pages with written at the top of them what I'm going to include on each page. That's not stapled together, so I'm going to see if I can staple it on when I get back to college. And here is just the comic. Well, not the comic. Well, it is the comic. It's just a mock-up of my final piece. So this is the final piece. This is some kind of card photo paper. I brought my own photo paper, and I'm not doing that again because it went really wrong. I have a contents page and the comic, of course. It printed out darker, which is okay. I'm not 100% fond of the colours and stuff, but it's okay. It's not terrible. And I probably should write about this a lot in my conclusion, because I need to write about it somewhere. These are just some of the things that I included in the book. I also included some sketches from previous work and some work from previously in my folder. So they weren't gone to waste. They weren't just experiment. I actually used them in the end. And on the last page, I have some fan art that was done by Memoria Caelestie. I'll put links to her in the description. And hopefully I should be able to hand it in and get an okay mark for it. I have really no idea what kind of grade this is. I just tried my best to include everything I could. Our teacher actually gave us a checklist of what we should be including in here for those of you doing Unit 3, and I know this might change by the time I leave because I know they're changing the school system, but I'll see if I can link that in the description box so you might be able to use it for reference. Maybe for all of your projects too, because I'm sure they'll all have a similar format. So yeah, that's my graphics work. If I was going too fast, I'm sorry. Just try to pause the video or wherever. So yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.